get up, go get it. I ain't finna wait for nobody. Pushing myself to the limit. If I never give up, I'ma win. Pushing myself to the limit. If I never give up, I'ma win.
We're here over at ASB Glass floor. I'm sitting here with Chris Thornton, who is the director of the Americas.
Yes, managing director of the Americas.
Managing director of the Americas. So what does all that entail for you?
So it's a little bit of everything. So ASB Glass Floor is headquartered in Munich, Germany. It's a company that has been the innovative company leading the way in glass technology in sports. Originally in the 60s, it started out as a squash court manufacturer. And as technology advanced, they figured a way to put glass floor down on a floor. And the original version of glass floor was just the lines were LEDs. So if you go into a gymnasium now, you're gonna see basketball lines on top of volleyball lines, on top of tennis lines. You see all these what I call a spaghetti mess of lines on top of lines.
Which can be quite confusing
Very
if you're a
much
player,
so.
because you're going, okay, which one is which, and
Right.
what do I got to pay attention to?
So the first floor, you pressed a button on the wall and just the basketball lines appeared. Then press the button again, just the volleyball lines appeared. So, and then as the LED technology advanced and pricing came down, we figured a way to put LEDs under the entire surface, and that's what we have here in Orlando. It's called the LumaFlex.
What is the technology that you're using to display all of it?
Right, so the ASB Glass Floor is a surface that is made of glass. The top surface that we're going to be playing on a little bit later and that you're seeing is two pieces of tempered glass that are fused together. The top finish of the glass is a ceramic coating. And and there's millions of little dots that are burnt into this entire surface. That gives it its grip. So when basketball players are out here, it sounds just like a basketball court. It has the same squeaks as a basketball court. Directly underneath the glass is an LED tile, a standard LED tile. And then underneath that LED tile is a series of metal and aluminum grid work. And everything is raised up on pedestals. That gives it its cushion and the ability. So when a player is walking on this court, it's going to feel and sound like a hardwood court, but it's actually safer for them as an athlete because the surface is slightly more elastic than wood. It's got a little bit more give to it. So when the players land on it's lighter impact on their knees and on their ankles. It's got a more consistent grip than a hardwood floor. And you have to think in basketball, for 100 years, they've only been playing on hardwood. Maybe the only technology in those 100 years are maybe the ingredients of the lacquer or the paint. But now we're introducing a completely new surface that's going to give them a more comfortable feel, and it's actually safer for them on their body when they're playing on a glass floor.
As far as gripping, is it the same exact grip? Does it have a little bit more ease? On like when your foot, can you slide a little bit easier? Because I noticed, I noticed that wood floors,
Yep.
I've hurt my knees if there's a lot of stop and go,
Right.
back and forth. Is there any change with the technology that you guys have that makes that better?
100% better. So you nailed it on the head, and this is what a lot of the NBA players are reporting back to us too when they play on this floor. You could stop very hard on a hardwood court because you're hitting a low lacquer spot or maybe a dead spot in the wood. That's a lot of wear and tear on your tendons. On the glass floor, because this is all done by a computer and all the ceramic coatings and all these dots are perfectly placed and they're the right height, whenever you're stopping and you need to dig, you're not going to have that abruptness. So you can smooth into your turns and dig in and push off, where it's going to be a smoother turn and stop and start. As opposed to a wood court, that abruptness, that's detrimental to your ligaments. So on our floor, we're more consistent. You're not going to hit any of those dead spots or those low lacquer spots. And the players are reporting back to us that they all, I think in mindset, when you walk on a piece of glass, you think it's going to be slippery, you think it's going to break, but they're all very pleasantly surprised that it actually has more grip, in some cases better grip than a hardwood court. And I don't want to say better or worse, but it's just more comfortable grip. And a big part of that is because when they're easing into their turns, they're stopping and starting, they're more confident because they're not going to hit those low spots.
And as far as the give in the floor, you have a little bit more give from my understanding, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, glass is more elastic. When we did all of the testing, the research and development, we can bend this piece of glass much further before it's going to break compared to a piece of maple wood. So all of our studies are showing that the glass is more elastic, and because that, and combined with the metal work underneath the floor, that is all engineered, and there's some cushions underneath there as well that give it its comfort. The glass mixed in with all the cushioned metalwork underneath it, is going to feel more comfortable to the athlete.
So I have to ask, does the give a little bit also create a bit of a spring where you can maybe jump, for people like me who can't dunk, can I maybe get a little bit more ups on the jump?
I wish, but no, it does not impact the athlete's ability. So you still need to do all your workouts, you still need to be able to jump and land. It's not going to give you spring.
Can you guys work on that?
I'll talk to our engineers about it for sure.
Walk me through how you guys go about creating some of this stuff. What software do you guys use for this technology?
Yeah, so right here, everything is being run on an iPad, and I've got just about every NBA court in here. So this is called Glass Court OS. Our entire system is run on here. We had some college teams in here, so we bring their college team courts in. They're playing at the ESPN Invitational down at the Wide World of Sports. As an example, I can bring up Temple as an example. And we always do some cool looking courts. So we have their wood court, but then we also make a variation of a dark court for them. And 90% of the time, the teams are actually choosing to play on the darker courts. As you can see here, it's cool red lines with a darker finish to it. And from a coaching standpoint also, and this is always fun to show off, I can do, as a coach, I can write my X's and O's and drop my play here from the sideline. And you can see when you get some panning, and you pan the camera, all of what I'm drawing here on the iPad is automatically appearing on the court.
Could you create experiences that ultimate result in unique content because you could come up with different games to play? You could revolutionize the basketball game and say, I know you guys did something for the All-Star game where you could make a different shot from a different point, it would give you more points or whatnot. Could you create different unique games leveraging still the basketball game itself, but say, okay, we're gonna create it where it's a little bit more immersive, that there might be a little thing that pops up or you have to drive a certain way, or
Yes.
I mean, I don't.
Well, you're onto it, right? We're only limited here to what you can think about. The NBA, when they use this at the All-Star game, they use it for the Celebrity All-Star game as well. And they tied this into a sponsorship. It was the Ruffles three-point line. And that three-point line was moving. And if you took it at the furthest point away from the hoop, that was a 5-point shot instead of a 3-point shot. So they are already playing around with some fun games tied to a brand, of course, where you can have the 3-point line that's even moving. You can set up different spots on the floor. If the player hits the basket from that spot, it could be worth an extra bonus, 2 points, whatever it may be. So you're only limited by what you can think of. But yes, in basketball, yes for brands and activations. We are already doing things like, when a university or school system wants to install one of these on the court, how can the teachers use this as well? So I can pull up here as an example, and I'll show you. Maybe we'll have little kids. Let's just have a fun Candyland court. Imagine all the kids running around and playing Candyland on their gymnasium floor. But maybe it's not even a game. Maybe it's something that's going to teach about dinosaurs. So I'll bring up my dinosaur court here for a minute. Now I can have scale life of what the dinosaurs and the size of a dinosaur would be. You tie this in with QR codes where it could bring up more information about that style of dinosaur. So from an educator standpoint, you can bring marine life. You can bring the size of a real whale, and you're me even as an adult, I'm walking around like, wow, this is the size of a whale into scale, versus looking at it in a textbook or online or on your computer. Now you can bring your educational tools to the floor. And you gotta imagine, the athletes can use it, but now your educators can use it. But back to your original question about the brands, yes, I mean, that's what also the NBA is looking at, is how can we activate our sponsorships in the NBA or NCAA versus just, right now we just see a little painted on logo that's static throughout the entire season. But think about it at timeout. Now it becomes a whole brand activation. And if it's Gatorade, as an example, you're seeing Gatorade bottles roll onto the court digitally.
And that's, I mean, from a stadium standpoint, yeah, you have the Jumbotron, but the court is the center of attention.
Right.
And so now everyone, the seating is designed for the court, not necessarily the Jumbotron, but it's designed for the court, for everyone to be staring at the court. So that's outstanding.
Well, it's funny because I was just at a game not too long ago in an NBA arena, and I was sitting in the mid 200 level. They had one of these massive Jumbotrons, and you wind up looking at that Jumbotron the entire game, and I'm in the arena because it's so big. But hopefully, and the NBA is looking at this will bring eyeballs away from the Jumbotron and back down to the court. We're doing a lot of fun things outside of the advertising about player tracking, and did the player hit the three-point line when he took that shot? Did the ball stay in or out of bounds? Did his foot go in or out of bounds? Now, I think as we advance the technology, we will be able to see that on the court as opposed to looking at it in a replay.
And so you can also track people then?
Oh, yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You have
How would you do that?
So we have a partnership with Shot Tracker, but there's a lot of companies that are doing right now player tracking in the NBA and the NCAA. Shot Tracker is a very big partner of the Big 12 and a lot of NCAA schools, where their technology, they have a wearable on the player's jersey, and they can say how many shots you took, how many shots you made, how many shots you missed in a game, in a practice. They can take it for the entire season or just a snippet. But they're looking at that right now through an iPad. With their technology, we've integrated them, and now you can show their shots on the floor and see exactly that, pinpoint that location. So we are at the forefront of sports technology at ASB Glass Floor. We know that there's many use cases inside of sports, obviously, but also outside of sports. Our founder is a guy by the name of Chris Thornton, who is a 38-year-old wizard. He's a creative mind, an engineered mind, an entrepreneurial, one of the smartest guys I know, and he loves integrating with some of the best technology folks and minds out there. And we see a very powerful tool that we're standing on right now. Of course, you're going to see it all through the NBA and players and sports, but we know that there's so many more use cases for this, whether it's gaming, whether it's, and we are installed right now in 2 arenas in Europe full time, where they just held a large gaming weekend. They're putting concerts on here. They are putting corporate conferences where the keynote speaker is now walking on the floor, and this becomes the backdrop for his or her keynote speech. Instead of looking at the big LED wall behind them, they now have a full surface to walk on. So there's so many use cases. We are excited to kind of team up with the best out there in the world of technology and keep elevating the world of not only sports, but education and anything else.
How far are you away from being able to make this? I have to assume that this is not affordable for everyone to just rent the court.
So, I mean, we're laser focused right now to bring this to an elite athletic level. So think NBA, and the NBA is a minority shareholder of ASB Glass Floor. They see the future of it. They want to bring this to the NBA, but they first need all of the players to approve it, and we are well on our way to getting player approval. The next step of that is the NCAA levels. And those floors, these are not inexpensive floors to make, of course, as you mentioned, but they are paid for because the organizations and the leagues and the facilities will make a lot more money than what they currently make on a wood court. So not to knock that, but there's so much more you can do, obviously, on our floor compared to a wood floor. So there's a lot of money-making potential. And then you break it down to high school levels and grammar school and the elementary schools. I do see a future of these surfaces being installed in school systems. Right now, we're probably too expensive for their price points because there's not a commercialization of a gymnasium at a school. But as we advance the educational aspects of the court, now their educators can use this in addition to their sports teams, right? And it's safer for the players because it's a safer surface, lighter on their joints and the impact, as I mentioned. They can coach their players, right? Because you can do your whiteboard here, and as a coach, I can coach my players to be better players. And then as an attraction for a school system, right? How cool would this be to have in your school system? But I would say the cost of this floor, compared to what a lot of these arenas pay for those jumbotrons, we are half the cost of what a jumbotron would be. So that's a very interesting fact. They pay tens of millions of dollars for that technology that is hung in their arenas. We are half of that, not even half of that.
What's the longevity of a floor?
So the glass has a lifespan of 75 years. The LEDs underneath it have a lifespan of about 100,000 hours. And if you use this court every day for 8 hours a day, that's about 21 years.
So before we go into a demo, because we're going to do a demo here.
Sure.
Who are some of the people that people might recognize that have already come here to Orlando to play on this court?
We've had this in our new 2.0 version is what we're calling this facility. Just yesterday we had the New York Knicks here when they came in to play the Magic. A day before we had the LA Clippers. A couple days before that, the Portland Trailblazers were in. So, and then additionally, we had 4 teams in already that are here for the ESPN Invitational from colleges. We have another 3 teams coming in starting tomorrow and Wednesday. So schools like Temple, Vermont, Georgetown, Dayton, and Richmond. So we have a very high-end list of roster and players, and we just had James Harden on this court here a couple days ago. And I think we were talking about this beforehand. It's a pretty unique position where I don't think in any other sports league do you have a facility where all the teams are playing on this in terms of technology. So I'm the fortunate one to speak to the players directly, the coaches directly, the general managers, because they're all asking a lot of the same questions. They all know what they're walking into, of course, but they all want to see the technology, they want to see it up close. So it's a pretty cool job. And we've got essentially anybody who's playing the Magic will be coming through here.
So what I love the most about this part of it, besides your job, how cool is that? Is you guys they are working as a magnet to draw people from outside of the state into the state, and you have a very strong argument over why Orlando is so unique. You guys are positioned well to the airport,
right?
Nice proximity, but you guys are putting eyeballs on Orlando, and that's incredible.
Yeah, and Orlando's been an awesome spot. It was chosen by the NBA really for logistics because of everything you just said, and we are very conveniently located to where a majority of the teams stay in the hotel. But Orlando has been awesome. We had meetings a couple months back with the Greater Orlando Sports Commission. A lot of the local press and the news have been coming through here to do some features. I'm meeting so many of your coaches, so many of the parents. So it's been really good, and we want to open this up to the local community as well and get them on the court. And as you said, when you came in a little bit earlier, we had a bunch of high schoolers and grammar school kids playing on the court. So there's a lot of dead time. When the Magic are on the road, we don't have NBA teams here all the time. So we want to open our doors up to some of those in the community that want to play on the floor.
Now we have a local athlete here, Caleb Hoffman, who's going to be demoing the floor, and we're going to show you what this thing looks like. So let's go there.
We're on the Detroit Pistons court. Let me just change it over to the Orlando Magic court, which we're in Orlando, so we should be playing on that court. Magic. So I'm going to hit the whiteboard here. And so we're going to start here. We're going to go into the three-point stance. Then you're going to take a shot from here, okay?
Got that.
I'll do a free shot right here for you,
right here.
All right? So go on in, pass it to yourself, go on into the key, take a shot. Good, nice. And as you can see, everything is here on the whiteboard. So a coach can automatically show where the player needs to be, and because of the technology, that can stay on the court. So also with ASB Glass floor is that we're helping coaches develop their players. So now we're creating interactive digital drills. So this is what we call the defender drill. You can see it says cross line to start. Once you cross over that line, there's going to be a digital defender that comes at you, right? I've got it set to medium level, not the pro level, not the amateur level, so a good
sounds about right.
Medium level. You can't touch that digital defender, and you can't pass over him or shoot over him. You've got to get around him to get to the hoop.
Okay.
So let me reset the score here, and if you're ready to go, step right in, and he's going to come right at you. Nice, good job. All right, so this next one, this is a little bit more difficult. It's more of a conditioning drill. There's gonna be these little checkpoints. You've got to get to that point before the timer cuts down. It's usually gonna give you 3 to 5 seconds. So a spot will open up there. You just got to get to that spot and bounce the ball.
Okay.
It's gonna turn green if you get there. If you don't get there, it'll turn red. You got to hit as many of these in 30 seconds.
Okay.
It's a tough drill. So more of a conditioning drill. Ready?
Steph Curry's gonna love this. He does
Go
conditioning all the time.
Good. Right here. As you can see, he's getting to the spots. He's got to react to the different spots wherever they appear on the court. You got 17 seconds still to go. Good. Nice.
Oh, my mic.
Keep moving. 10 seconds to go. 10 more seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, good job. You got a score of 8. Excellent, excellent job. And then one final piece I think that we want to show off here is I'm going to call this just the shot tracker. Now, shot tracker's got technology where it can measure every single shot that you've taken. As you see here on the court, this is generally, when they're coaching players, they're looking at this on an iPad or on the TV. But now imagine I can see every shot and where you made. I can tell you where you were hot or where you were cold. It's a great tool. This is a great example of how we're using other technology that's already established in sports and now enforcing it on and using it on the floor. So just another great example. He's got some more shots from outside the three-point line. Again, just a way for coaches to really simulate where those shots are made. And now, also, with that said, we're gonna tie video into that. So if I wanna bring up this shot over here, boom, I press on it, I can pull up the video of when you made this shot.
Wow.
That can either be on the court or it can be on an iPad.
Is this a sampler or was this one of your athletes?
This is actually from the University of Kentucky or Kansas. Okay. This is actually from the University of Kansas.
Crazy.
The shot tracker is involved with them and they're tracking all the shots. So it was,
Jayhawks can shoot this year.
It was
March Madness, watch out.
It was from a sample in one of their past games.
Cool. Oh, so this was 5-on-5 live. It wasn't practice.
Yes, this was live.
Okay, sick. Well, like practice 5-on-5. Cool.
Yes.
Sick.
Thanks for watching. Follow the Orlando Life for more stories on the people and businesses who are shaping Orlando's culture.